Hello all, welcome to Zerzek Solution. In our last session, we have seen how to train the model and how to evaluate that model and how to deploy that model in MLflow server. Now, in this case or in this session, we are going to cover one more interesting point or one more interesting concept related to MLflow, that is log production models. Generally what happen, let me hover over to my screen or the console of MLflow. Now you can see in last sessions we have created these many other models. Okay, maybe you have find little difficulty due to some error. Where I'll explain how to rectify that error in a couple of minutes. Let's try to discuss about the agenda of this session. You can see there are plenty of the model with respect to versions are available, but these models are related to only one the use case, that is the expenses. Now what happens, just imagine you are deploying the models in the production level. In that case, you are not going to deal with only one the model, you are going to deal with the plenty of models. So in that case, it's very difficult for you to manually select and put the models in the production level. Now, so we'll do one thing. We will try to automate the complete this versioning, the model selection with respect to the versioning. So here I'll try to put some condition like whichever is having MAE. Let's try to take MAE. You can go with other parameters also. Sorry, matrices. I'll go with the MAE. So which model is having less amount of MAE, that model I want to put it in where? In the production level through the program. Everything will be automation, remember. So here what you do is there is an option here, you can see in ascending and descending order you can keep. So I'll try to keep this one, this you keep it as an ascending order. Okay, so less number of amount. So in that case, now the model 2 will be in the first option. Okay, so this is going to be my index. So using this index, I'm going to put this one in the production level. Okay, let me hover over to my console. So I think you are in the last session, you were not able to run this model, I feel. So what further modification you have to do is like how I have commented the matrix, in the same way you try to comment the parameters also inside dvc.yaml file. Apart from that, okay, hover over to your params.yaml file. So here we did only http 127.0.0.1. Apart from that, you don't forget to mention your the port number as well as MLflow is concerned. It takes 5000 as a port number to deploy your graphical user interface of MLflow. Okay, I hope you are clear now. If you run after this, if you run this, okay, straight away you can run the command. Let's say python src train and evaluate.py, which is src is nothing but my folder. Inside that folder, okay, my file train and evaluate.py we have created. Now if you run this one, so if you run this may take little time. Okay, so after that it will give you a new model along with the version 10. So last version was I think the ninth one. Now it has created version 1. If you hover over to your graphical user interface, refresh this, and you can see there is a one more the model with the version 10. I hope you are cleared. Okay, so now next is let's try to create the another file, the one more file related to our log production model. Let me, already I was working on this since whenever I take trainings or whenever I'm explaining something, first I prepare myself. Okay, then if everything is goes wrong, I mean correct, then only I try to take the session. That's the reason already I had created one the file log production model. So let me try to keep this one aside. Okay, and let's try to build a new model. Okay, so well, so first and foremost, let me hover over to my console. So here inside this src we need to create one file with the name called log production model. But before that, there are some more modification we need to do here in dvc.yaml file. Hover over to dvc.yaml file. and create this one more option here, log production model. Inside the log production model, the moment when you type dvc reproduce, okay, so I think you guys are not familiar with this the command called reproduce. So the moment when you run this, okay, it will start executing from the scratch. You need not to run individual file. Okay, so that can be done through dvc.yaml file. So inside this, so called cmd python, this is a command generally we are going to run here. Inside src, I have one file with the name called log production model. Let me try to select this. Okay, next, rest of the things as usual. Dependencies log production model.py. Now, okay, after configuring this, hover over to your src. Okay, so in src, let's try to create one more file, python file with the name called log production model.py. Okay, perfect. So now log production py file is I have created. Now after this, the process will remain same. Okay, we need to import some of the libraries. First and foremost, let's try to import the library called http, so which are required for hyper transfer protocol. Okay, and to work with your graphical user interface. For that one, so there is a method, the option called client. So I'm going to choose this client option. Okay, so to work with our log production model. Apart from this, we obviously need the get data. Okay, get data, import read params. Import read params. You are familiar with this one already. I have discussed about this one in a last session. So after this, we need argument parser. Okay, argument parser. So let's try to trigger that argument parser. Most important, we need ml flow. Okay, let's try to activate ml flow also. And in this file, I'm going to import one more new file for the tracking of our the models. For that one, okay, inside ml flow there is an option called tracking. Inside tracking there is a method called ml flow client. Okay, ml flow client. So perfect. Now apart from this, we need py print also. Okay, pp print, import pp print. Okay, so this is for the printing purpose we generally use. Okay, so for the primary way of building and distributing python packages in the model may be either 100% pure python. Okay, so for that one we will be using it. Now next, apart from this, we need uh, two more packages. One is obviously import joblib. Okay, import joblib. Okay, so to save our the model. Apart from this, import operating os. Okay, so these things we required. Next is regarding about the main file. So you can copy directly from our train and evaluate. Most of the most of the code I'm going to copy from our train and evaluate. Okay, that remains same. So copy and paste it and replace this with our function. Okay, as far as the function is concerned, I'm going to call the function with the same name called log and evaluate. Perfect. Okay, so this is already created. Now it's time to create the function. Okay, let's try to create the function now. So as far as function is concerned, so we can create the function. Okay, using the method called define. You are familiar with this, and give the name of the function. In my case, I'll give the name of the function be log production model, which already I have called. Next, inside this one, config, uh, the config path obviously. Okay, config path. So next is inside this one, let's try to call over all the parameters. I'll try to create one object in the name called config. So read params. Inside this read parameters, call your config path. Perfect. Config path. So this is also done. Now simultaneously, okay, so we should do, or we should call all the required register model we required here. Okay, for that, first let's start with the register model name. So let me try to create one model name. let's try to create one object in the name called model name. So as far as model name is concerned, this is the area where our register model exists. Okay, so we can call that one using the method. There is a method called mlconfig, and mlconfig already we have created mlflow config, I guess. Mlflow config. Is there any mlflow config? No, we should call this mlflow config first. Okay, so let's try to create one object called mlflow config. Okay, so inside this, so we should call that a configuration file. For that one, there is a method called config. Okay, there is a method called config. So inside this config, call that config mlflow config. Let me hover over to my params.yaml and copy this one. Okay, and paste it in log params. Perfect. Now I can use this object mlconfig to retrieve all the data which is in the params.yaml file. Next, mlflow config. So inside this we have register name I feel. Let me hover over to params again. Register name. Register model name. Okay, so let me try to copy this. Okay, register model name. Paste it here. Okay, so next is after register model name, we required remote server URI. Remote server URI. Okay, remote server URI. So as far as remote server URI is concerned, again the same mlflow config, mlflow config. Next is mlflow config. Next remote server URI you call. Okay, go to hover over to params, and this is my right now. This is a local URI I'm calling. I'm using to display or maintain my all the retraining of the model. Okay, perfect. So after remote server URI, so we need to uh, start tracking. Okay, so to track, there is a method called set tracking in MLflow. Set tracking. Is there any option here called set tracking URI? Yes, we have the option called set tracking URI. So in set tracking URI, you just call that object name called remote URI. Okay, perfect. So this is also done. Next, after setting up, okay, now it's time to search. Okay, to search the model with respect to the version. Okay, for that one there is a method called search run. Okay, so I'm going to use it. For that one I'll try to create one object called runs. So inside run, inside MLflow, there is a method called search run. Search runs. Okay, search runs, and try to give the index. I'll go with the index called 1. So just now I said, okay, I'm going to, I did ascending and I have kept in ascending and descending order. So same thing I'm going to use here. Next is I want to find out the lowest one. Okay, the lowest the matrix. For that, I try to create one object in the name called the lowest. So inside lowest, I'll use runs. Okay, and inside runs, I'll call my matrix. Okay, since I'm going to use the matrix MAE, mean absolute error. So I have called that means absolute error. Now I want to sort it out. Okay, so the model with respect to the version, for that one we have the method called sort values. Okay, use sort values and put it, let's try to have ascending. Okay, and to put, I'm going to go with ascending sorting technique. Now next is index will be here the 0. Perfect. So apart from this, next let me try to create one more ID here. So we need to track the run ID. Okay, so I'm going to track the run ID. For that one, I'll try to create one more object in the name called run ID. Okay, lowest run ID. Runs. Okay, runs. Next, after runs, we have runs. Okay, runs. Next, after runs, let's try to call our matrix. In my case, the matrix is MAE. So MAE, perfect, mean absolute error. So let's try to set this one, lowest one. Okay, the lowest run ID. Okay, I'm going to select here. Perfect. So next is after run ID. Okay, so we need to call the run ID also. How we can call run ID? Run ID. Okay, so run ID. Next is put this one as a 0th index. Perfect. So far no error. Okay, looks good. Everything looks good here. Lowest error is also, that means this generally what happened, this try to find out the lowest value in mean absolute error. After that, it's time to use our ML flow other client. So I'll try to create one, the name called client. Okay, and call that ML flow client object. Okay, so sorry, the method. So once this is done, next okay, we need to manage the data. Okay, for that one, there is a beautiful option called dict is an efficient key value hash table structure in Python programming language. So I'm going to use the same one. So let me try to create one. I'll try to take this one in a loop. Okay, I'll try to use for loop statement. Okay, mv in uh, mv in client search client. Okay, so to search, there is a method called search model options, model version, sorry, search model versions. Okay, search model version. Next file, I'll try to take a file. Next name of my model. Okay, so name of the model. Next is name of the model. Next is after this name of the model. Next is after this we need to call the name of the model. How we can call this one? So I will have the single quote. So inside the single quote, call model name. Okay, model name. End this one with a single quote. Perfect. And end of your for loop statement. So as far as end of the for loop statement, you are familiar with the structure. So semicolon. Next mv, I'll call that dict hash table dict. Okay, now next is I want to keep this MV within that hash table. Okay, so let's try to recursive option I'm going to use. If MV, let's say my MV method run ID. Okay, run ID. So run ID, if it is the lowest one. Okay, so lowest already I have called, I guess, lowest with the lowest run ID. If this is equals to, then current version. So I'll try to put the current version, one object I'll create here in the name called current version. Okay, perfect, current version. Next I'll try to move that to perfect version. Okay, how we can do that one? So there is mv, inside the mv we try to put that version. Perfect. So version is recorded now. Okay, and logged model, let's try to create one more object in the name called logged model. And mv inside this one, this is going to be the source of my the model. Now, apart from this, if you want to print, okay, I can make use of PyPy print. Next, whatever the model which is stored in MV, okay, I'm going to select that one. And intent, I'll try to keep this one as a 4, which is nothing but the spaces, how many spaces you want to give. So that can be given using this intent. Okay, perfect. Now, next is some more modification we have to do. And now it's time to this create the model registry component. Okay, so model registry component can be called using client is already I have called. Okay, there is a method called transition model stage. Okay, so I'm going to use this transition model stage. So inside this there are parameters, you have to give the parameters like name. I'll try to give my model name. Next version, so obviously current version. Okay, current version. Next is a stage. So that model I want to put it in production level. Okay, so for the production level, so you can call this production level. Okay, production. Perfect. So once this is done, since it is an if else statement. Okay, so else, let's now this is the if condition statement. Next, apart from this, else will have else. Next, in the else current version. Okay, current version. Next is mv, current version, mv version. Perfect. Okay, so perfect, version is done. Next, current client. Okay, client transition model version. transition model version stage. Okay, so same thing, you try to provide name. So as far as name is concerned, model name. Okay, model name. Next version. Okay, as far as version is concerned, current version name, current version. Next staging. As far as staging, yeah, stage is concerned, so try to put rest of the model, you try to put it in staging area, staging. Okay, staging area, perfect. Next is once this is done, this is the if else statement. Now it's time to load the model. How we can load the model? I'll try to create one more object in the name called load model. Okay, load model. Next ml flow. uh, ml flow, there is an option called py function. Okay, so I'll try to use this py function. Py function is a default model interface for MLflow Python models. Any MLflow Python model is expected to be loadable as a Python function model. Okay, which is also called file system function in Python programming language. Next is py function. Next load model. Let's try to load the model. Next logged model, logged model. Okay, so logged model, I'm going to load this one. Now we need to track the path also. I'll try to create one more object in the name called model path. So as far as model path is concerned, I'm going to give this one inside config. So I have created one the directory called web model directory. Let me check in params, okay, where exactly my uh, the model is located. So this is the path. Enter prediction. If you hover over to prediction, hover over to prediction. Where is my prediction? Inside prediction, there is a model. Inside model, I have my model. Okay, so I'm going to call this one. So I'm going to fetch the model from this part. Okay, so that exact location. Where is my log production model? So paste it here. Okay, perfect. So far so good. Next is once this is done, next it's time to dump the model. Okay, to dump the model, there is an option called inside job lib. There is an option called dump. Okay, inside dump loaded model. Okay, loaded model will be having my the model exactly and a model path. Okay, so already we have created the object called model path. This is it, guys. Okay, so this generally this program na, so this file will give us the complete, you know, the rather than selecting manually, so straight away you can select this one. This program itself will try to select for you. Understood? So now next is once let me try to run this. Okay, and let's try to see which model it is going to select. Right now if you check here, two model is there. So two, which is the lesser one. Okay, it is already in the ascending order. And let's try to see, okay, which model in the production. So as far as model production is concerned, my version 6 is in the production level. Okay, so let's try to see whether this program works fine for me or not. Okay, so there are certain errors it's showing, like there are certain errors. Let me try to configure this. Okay, so let's try to run this one and we'll come to know what errors we are getting after the execution. Now make sure that your server is up and running. Okay, so if server is up and running, then only you can run this the file log production model. Enter it. Let's see. Okay, so perfect. Now you can see, okay, it has given me the JSON file and it's showing which the model is in the production. It's showing like version 10 is in the production. Okay, so this can be an assignment at the end. You need to check, okay, what errors are present in this particular uh, uh, file. So now you can see it has shifted, something is happening here. Okay, so version 10 is in the production, it's showing. So if you hover over to experiments, let me hover over to experiments. So here still this should be in the production, I guess. Understood? So but if I check this version 2, so not here, models you go. Okay, so in models, if you click on this, you can check version 2 is in production. It's supposed to be the version 2 should be in the production. That is a problem what I'm facing right now. Rest of the all the models are in the staging area. That is fine for me. It's working fine for me. But the version 2 rather than version 10, it should be version to that we need to find out why it is happening. I hope you are cleared. So this is the end of our module 2, that is regression part. So as far as regression part is concerned, we have seen all the stages of cookie cutter, how to design the model and how to retrain the model. Everything will be the automation. You can practice, you can take the pilot project, or if you have the opportunity to work in industry, you can implement the automations using the system. I hope you are cleared with this. Now I'll try to push this one in my GitHub account so that you can refer this code in later on sessions. So you can hover over to my GitHub account. I think you are familiar with my GitHub account. So hover over to GitHub. So you type Tanzimagra. So this is my ID, Tanzimagra. Inside this one, I have a repository. So inside this repository, I have one repository with a name called Course 55. So you can download straight away from this. Okay, I hope you are clear. So let me try to push this code. Okay, so that when it will be easy for you to refer in the later on session. So git init, git add. Okay, let me commit, git commit hyphen m log production model, log production model. Perfect. Okay, so it got executed. Now it's time to push uh, the uh, uh, the code. So to push the code, I'll use git push hyphen u. Okay, origin. I think I'm in the development environment. Okay, so development environment. Perfect. Run it. Okay, so now you can see the complete code in uh, course 5 development environment. Okay, so if you hover over, if you click on this, go to development environment. Okay, go to development environment. Now you can see the complete code is available here. I hope you are cleared and you enjoyed. And after this session, the next session will be deep learning. So immediately try to execute, start deep learning system. I think I have used some data there. You similarly you can use some other data like MRI etc related to health sector or any kind of a sector for the practice. Okay, thank you very much.